This is Justin Case of America Newscape, joining our friend and media personality, Linda Summers, back for another installment of America Newscape. Hello, Linda. Welcome back to America Newscape.
Hi, Justin. How are you?
I'm doing good. I am getting by and looking forward to this interview. So,
Me too.
that being said, tonight you want to talk about recognizing your greatness, and I think that's an important thing to be talking about.
I do, especially during these times, but really all times. And what I mean by recognizing your greatness, so others see us in a certain way, right? They
Right.
see our greatness, they see who we are. For the most part, people do. And if we are not looking at ourselves, because somebody can say, "Oh, Linda, you're this, you're that," and I'll be like, "No, I'm not that," and kind of downplaying that. But when we see our own greatness, and this is not about conceit, this is about knowing who you are and you showing up as that in the world. And so, but the only way to get there is you have to go inward. You have to start looking within yourself. What is it about me that's great? And it could be where, you ask people. If you don't really know, you ask people.
Well, you know, it seems like I've spent most of my life looking at people and saying, quite commonly saying, I wish you could see you through my eyes, because I always have this grandeur perspective on them than they have on themselves. That person that says, I need to lose 5 pounds and my life will be wonderful. In essence, I think a lot of people have trouble allowing themselves and recognizing how great they truly are.
Yeah. Because I feel somewhere inside of them, I know this was true for me, seeing the greatness within myself. And really, how could we not be great when we're made in the image of God anyway? You know what I mean? So, um, but just trying to find my own greatness, and that's where I had to do a lot of the inner work. And I will say one thing, Justin, about you, that you really do see people. That's a really good, a very fine and quality that you have, because you really can see people. And again, if people can't see themselves, they're not going to recognize it. Just like when you said, um, I've got to lose 5 pounds, and you're like, no, you're perfect just as you are. Which is another conversation about self-love too. You know what I mean? When we love ourselves, then we don't really think about that. But the part of the recognizing your greatness is about the self-love as well. It all is together.
Well, and you brought up you touched on something in the introduction. It's recognizing it and accepting it coming from others.
Hmm.
You have this. I don't want to use the word tribe because it's overused, but you have your circle of people that are trying to bolster you and encourage you, and you need to let that in.
Hmm. Receive it.
Receive it. Yeah, exactly. Accept it,
Yeah.
receive it, and in almost all instances, there is not an ulterior motive for that information. I mean, when people open up and share that information with you, it's because they care about you.
Right. Right. Well, it helps you to really see yourself. And why do we want to see the greatness in ourselves? Because then we show up in the world and we get to know ourselves on a different level based upon, because here we are out in the world, right? And how you see me um, may be different than how I see myself, or how somebody else sees me may be different how I see myself. And it's always good to have some feedback as to what they see, because it's like we can't see ourselves really of how others see us unless we know what we're doing. And I do have some ways that would help people to be able to see the greatness in themselves.
Well, before that, so we're talking about the revelations. So, in essence, that information, that feedback coming to us, if we accept it as a revelation, we can actually use that information.
Yeah.
Give us some tools,
Yeah.
Linda. Give us some tools.
So I would write down what people have said about you. And I would also ask family members, friends who really know you very well, to say, what is it that you see in me? And then I would write that down. That's one thing I would do. And then the other thing I would do is what I call mirror work. And mirror work is actually sitting in front of the mirror and looking into the eyes, which are the windows to the soul and the spirit. And when you really stare at yourself and you really just really look, and it's like you go beyond this physicalness that we have, this body. And so, and looking at yourself and telling yourself the things that you love about yourself. And the more that you do that and the more that you hear other people, then you start writing things down. What do I love about myself? What are my great qualities? What do I bring to the world? Then you'll get to know yourself more and you'll be more apt to receive, because it's really hard for people to receive compliments. We downplay it, or, oh no, that old outfit or whatever, whatever it is. I've done the same thing before in my life too, you know. So receiving can be hard. I don't know for men. I mean, what's your thoughts on it? Do you feel like men have a hard time receiving?
Well, I think sometimes we do. I think you know appreciation is a form of a compliment, and I think when people reach out and appreciate something, go to the trouble of verbalizing appreciation for something we may have done, said, acted, we need to accept that, and we need to there again appreciate. See, to me, it's a two-way street. We need to appreciate them taking the time to help us, and and you've brought it up. They're giving us something that we can use. Whether it's a revelation. And I think in today's society, most people think that there's ulterior motives in lots of these things, even though the majority of them are going to be innocent.
Right. There's an agenda behind it.
What,
When
what,
you know yourself and you see your greatness and all of that, you kind of have an idea, or not even an idea, like a sense, a feeling, an intuitive feeling that, what is the motivation of this person? What are they trying to manipulate me? Are they genuine? Um, are they being sarcastic? Anything like that too. And so, and again, too, it's like, some things people might see in you, recognizing your greatness is one thing too, but sometimes if you're asking your family members or your friends, maybe they may say something that, you get a little bit uptight or things like that. That might be something to kind of look at. Do you really get uptight? And what does that really mean for you? You know what I mean? And taking a look at that, and maybe that's coming from some other place. But it really is see, because we all came to this planet with some greatness within us, a lot of greatness within us. And when we start to recognize that, um, when we show up in the world, we show up differently, because we're showing up not trying to gain anything, but give something. We're giving of ourselves to the planet, to the people in our lives, and to people that we don't even know. So there's such beauty and benefits from being able to recognize the greatness within ourselves.
well, and people need to realize you and I do this not for the for all the money and fame and glory, but we do this because we are happy to share, but we benefit from this. I mean, we really do. When Linda talks, I listen to what Linda has to say because it helps. It actually helps. It helps me deal with today. It helps me deal with tomorrow, and it actually will trigger thoughts from my past from time to time. And
Mm,
and I think those are all very very positive revelations for me, and I hope others can benefit from that too.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Linda, one thing about society now, I can't come into your place of work, and I have to be very very careful. I can't. society's telling me not to tell you that you look nice or that I like your hair or I like your dress.
Hmm.
Um, it's a fine line with a lot of thin ice. I didn't grow up with that thin ice. I think I understood the boundaries of it, but it's difficult. I mean, lots of times I want to tell my friends you look nice, and
Hmm.
I'm hesitant.
Hmm. Yeah, that's interesting because I think that um, a lot of people can misconstrue or misunderstand. If it's something that's genuine, or if somebody would say that, maybe I'd think, are they trying to hit on me, or what's going on here? You know what I mean? Are they just being genuine? I wouldn't say that now, but now I would just take it as compliment. And if they were married or whatever, it wouldn't even matter to me. It was just like, oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Like I was at church this morning, and this older gentleman, just a wonderful man, he's like, is that your real hair? And I said, yes, it is. And he goes, it's so beautiful. And I was like, thank you. I really appreciate the compliment, you
Well,
know? And so, I agree with what you're saying. I think society has put limitations on what we can and can't say, but I think that's where if we are, there's something that when we communicate that in the sense of um, saying, complimenting somebody, right?
right.
I think we have a feeling of either, do they like me or do they not, or they're just being genuine. I feel like we have a feelings because if we go by what society says, then, I just think that, like, what I'm trying to say is society to me, they're saying a lot of things
Yeah.
and like what you should be wearing, what you shouldn't be wearing, how you should look when you're a certain age and how you shouldn't look a certain age, and you should be doing this and doing that. Well, is that really working for us? You know what I mean? Like, I don't really agree with a lot of what society says. So I think it's more of, again, going back to recognizing this and, if thing that you want to be able to, that you can see the greatness in others, because I have that gift as well. And so when you can see the greatness of others, I want to let people know how
Yeah.
great and what I see about them.
I agree. And if I
Mhm.
didn't, I would feel very remiss and, that I let them down. I let myself down.
Mhm.
I don't want to put you in my generation, Linda, but, there was no gray area. If I wanted to take you out to dinner, I would say, why don't we go out to dinner? It was not
Yeah,
complicated.
yeah.
And maybe people don't do that anymore. I don't know. It seems like social graciousness has become a thing of the past. Everybody's living on social media, and I feel bad about that. I think they missed a wonderful, wonderful time in this.
Yes.
I would like them to have had a chance to experience what I experienced growing up.
Hmm.
But give me, keep me on track here. So I'm going to try and with kit gloves compliment people every opportunity when it's sincere.
Yeah.
And I'm going to try. I have become better at accepting it. I actually have. But it was difficult. I was, and maybe that was part of my upbringing. I grew up in a German household where there wasn't a lot of hugs and
Hmm.
things like that, but it had a lot of advantages too. We were taught self reliance and how to take care of ourselves and how to be responsible. But once
Hmm.
responsible, we weren't given a hug and pat on the head or a gold star or a
Right.
participation trophy. But you don't want to get me started on that.
Right. We're given all the kudos, the acclimates, and everything like that. But then, did you change and shift? You know what I mean? I don't feel like you're like that now. So somewhere along the line, something had to shift.
I think
You feel?
there's people don't realize about me. There's a lazy streak in me that honesty is an easy path for me. So if I'm grateful, I try and verbalize it. There again, hugging is something that is not well received by a lot of people. But if a friend wants a hug, I will never refuse it. if that makes sense.
Right.
I'm not offended by
Yes.
it, certainly not.
Right.
I do understand how
Right.
women might be, and that's fine. It's for each his own. That comfort level.
Mm-hmm.
But I can verbalize. I don't need to touch. I can verbalize. I don't need to mislead.
Mm-hmm.
Even me saying that, I don't mean to mislead, but I do mislead
Mm-hmm.
without intent.
Right.
That I just didn't verbalize it correctly, and I think that's part of the communication skills. I think that part of the use that you and I have found with each other is
Mm-hmm.
the fact that we can communicate, and I enjoy
Yes.
communicating with you. And
Yeah.
it's the other thing about one of my big things about life, and I think it's something you're gifted once you get older is interaction with people. Did they leave you better than they found you?
Mm. Yes.
And it
Yes.
and if they did, it's a gift. And I
Yes.
do like to celebrate that. And I have lots of acquaintances and friends that do that, and
Mm-hmm.
I do appreciate it. And I probably don't tell them enough, but I'm going to. I'm going to start.
That would be something really wonderful to do. And you just said that too. What came up for me, which I think this is important as well, is that sometimes, if not a lot, people do need to hear something. And you places, anybody that's watching this video has been someplace. It could be maybe in the grocery store, cashiers just running things through, and you can tell if you're present. That was kind of what we talking. Um, present and you're really observing them and not on your phone, which I think is rude anyway when we're, in line and we're cashing out and stuff like that, that something's going on. Like I pay attention to things like that. And, it's like, are you having a bad day? Like, is there, something happen or just starting a conversation? Because then they see that you're truly interested in their well-being. And I just want to say I did a fabulous job for being here and bring up my groceries.
Yeah.
And just that in itself, or just even saying something like, you just your time that you're taking. Whenever I see a policeman or someone who's in the service, I always tell them thank you for this. I really greatly appreciate it. And so, again, this is like when we can recognize, because some people really do, it could change the outlook of their whole life in that instant. And I don't think we realize the power when we do see and we recognize the greatness in others, especially when you're in an intimate relationship with your children. That's really important with your children to see their greatness. I mean, I remember my kids were growing up and I would tell them, oh, I see this about you. Oh, you're my mom. You're supposed to say that stuff. No, I really do. And now that they're grown men, they understand, because they've been uh, watching me, been under my umbrella of coaching and just being who I am and stuff like that. So um, it really, people do want to be, and they do want to be heard, but really seen. And when we can start recognizing that greatness within ourselves, I just think that we show up differently.
Well, one thing about you, Linda, and I'm sure you've heard this, but you honor your friends and family at every opportunity. So your children
Mm-hmm.
are blessed to have you as a mother, and
Thank
I believe they understand that. And if they don't,
you.
I'm happy to explain it to them.
We might have to do a show on that. No, just kidding.
Yeah. But it's true,
No,
when I think about people that I know and interact with, there's so few people that honor their friends and family and spouses and girlfriends and boyfriends as well as you do.
thank
And
you.
we need more of that. We need more of that in society.
Yeah.
So people need to recognize that new greatness in themselves once they start doing that.
When they start doing that, there's a shift that happens, and they will feel the shift because they will feel like somebody's. They'll feel different. They'll feel like a different person. Almost like you get out of, you know how a snake sheds its skin,
Yeah.
right? It's kind of like that. You're shedding of this old skin of what we pretend to have or pretend to be, and we come into really the essence of seeing that greatness within ourselves. And that could look like many, many different things. It really is an individual thing, a very unique thing for everybody, because everybody is so unique in their own way that that's why I feel it's really important to go inside and see that.
Well, I agree, and we all have unlimited potential.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody, tomorrow in the mirror, remind yourself of that. No matter where you are, no matter what's happening, you do have unlimited potential to do something about it.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, Linda, do you
They
have
can
any?
make a big difference in the world.
Absolutely. Do you have any final thoughts for us or a magic tool, a Linda Summers magic tool that we can walk away with today and feel better about ourselves?
The one gem I would really say is to discover who you are. It's an inward journey. Go inward. And the more that you go inward, instead of going outwardly and trying to be accepted, and look for things or whatever it is that we try to feel that greatness, go inside and do the inner work and seek who this person is, and start by asking yourself and writing down the things that you love about yourself. And when I was going through this, I also asked my family too, and my friends, so I could, kind of see, are they feeling the same thing that I'm feeling, that I'm seeing about myself? And there was a lot of things that were very similar, and there were things that they saw in me that I never even saw. And I was like, wow, that's really cool, you know? And so, yeah, it's just a blessing to be able to show up like that in the world, and you really show up differently. And once you get that, you'll feel it, you'll know it.
Well, and what a wonderful place to be. Linda, thank you. Hey, this has been Justin Case and Linda Summers bringing you American Awesome. Thanks for joining us. Remember, additional information and links are provided in this video's read more. Today is the day to subscribe to this channel. Please check out Linda Summers on social media.